Hello. Hello, friends, and welcome to this local search clinic. We're really excited to be joined by Elizabeth Rule from Sterling Sky, and she's going to answer all of your burning questions on local marketing, Google Business Profile, and more. So before we start, remember this session is recorded. You're going to receive the recording into your inbox straight away, and you can also find it over on our YouTube channel. And if after today's webinar, you want to continue the conversation, once the webinar is finished, then you can join our amazing Facebook community group, which is called the Local Pack, where you can chat with 4,000 other local marketers. But first, and before we start, we've got a quick message from our sponsor, Bright Local. For anyone new to a Bright Local webinar, we wanted to share that Bright Local is an amazing tool to help you win at local SEO. Our tools and our content hub can help you rank higher, they can help you convert better, grow your reputation and build citations. So make sure that you sign up for a free 14-day trial if you haven't already, and you can see how Bright Local can help you improve your local SEO. So let's say hello to our special guest. There she is. Hello, Elizabeth. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm very well. It is lovely to see you here today.
Lovely to be here.
Thank you for coming, as ever. Can I ask you to introduce yourself to all of our lovely watchers, please?
Absolutely. My name is Elizabeth Rule. I work as a local SEO analyst and account manager at Sterling Sky. We help all businesses with their local SEO needs. And I'm also a Google Business Profile product expert over on the Google Business Profile community forum, where I help and volunteer to help businesses with their GBP issues. So I've seen a lot of things on GBP. I'm learning a ton about GBP every day. So I'm really excited to hear your questions, hopefully learn a little bit, and maybe help provide some answers.
So thank you very much for your help in the Google Business Profile community support.
Yeah, and you too, Claire. You too.
No, but mostly you, Elizabeth. Thank you very much. So that's fantastic. We have got a full hour for everyone to get their questions in. So think of your questions, pop the question plus in the chat, and then we'll get through as many as we can. So as people start to leave their questions, I'm going to be a bit cheeky and take the liberty of asking you a question, Elizabeth. I'm really interested. I know that you work with a ton of different clients. I know that you also deliver, a ton of different services that sit under the local SEO umbrella. And I wondered, maybe it will just be like maybe in the last 3 months, 6 months, I know that things change. Which is the bit that really excites you? Which bit do you really love when it comes to working with your clients?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I do work with a ton of clients in a ton of different industries, a lot of home services, healthcare, lawyers. And what really gets me excited is when the client is excited to work with us, namely working on their content, working on their GBP growth strategy, and just like learning the best ways for them to grow online organically. Because a lot of the times they don't know what would be like the best route for them to, like, say, get more leads, get more customers engaged. And when they're really engaged with us and like willing to learn and willing to help us better our strategy based on their business and their business goals and how their business works, that's when the magic really happens. So I hear the term needy client all the time. Well, we're a needy agency where we're constantly like emailing clients, wanting to engage with them, get on calls with them, ask them questions. So when they're giving that back to us, that's my favorite part.
I love that. It's like the more that they engage with you and collaborate with you, the more success that they can have.
Absolutely.
That's really nice to hear. Thank you very much. Should we see what we've got as our first question in the Q&A? I have a question. Hi there. What is the best way to build authority between your Google profile and your website in order to rank higher in local searches?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the best way to do that is to link to the correct page on your website. That's usually the home page. So you're linking to your homepage from your Google business profile, because typically that's the page that has the most authority in your location and in your industry. But you're going to want to double check that in Google Search Console to see what kinds of searches your homepage and other pages on your website are getting, because the way your website is ranking organically kind of directly impacts how your GBP is going to rank in maps. So you want to make sure you're linking to the right page that's getting the most traffic for your target keywords, because that's going to help your Google profile rank for those keywords in maps.
And what would you say is the case for someone with a lot of locations? What should they be? Is that different?
Yeah. I wouldn't link, like if you had multiple locations, I wouldn't link all of them to the homepage. I would have dedicated location pages for each of those locations. And the way to build authority for those pages is to write really great content that the people in the local area are going to want to engage with, and they're going to learn from, meaning learn more about your business, learn more about your services, and learn more about the customers that you've already serviced in that area and those customers' experiences. So great content is really the best way to help those location pages rank. And then linking your GBP to those location pages is going to help those GBPs rank in those specific areas.
Perfect. Thank you very much. What do we have next? Let's have a look. Greg asks, how can you optimize your Google business listing and website as a one location local business to rank in neighboring cities?
So those are kind of two separate things. Your Google business listing kind of has a limit to how far it can rank. So if you're in a major city, you're going to have a tough time most of the time ranking it very far away in like neighboring suburbs, especially if those suburbs are highly populated and there's a lot of local competition in those suburbs. So your Google business profile, like I said, has that limit, whereas your website really doesn't. Like you can rank organically very well in any neighboring suburb or town or city by creating, like I mentioned earlier, really nice location and service area pages. So I wouldn't, if you're finding that your Google business listing, that one location, you're having a hard time getting that radius of ranking to expand, see if you can switch to organic and find ways to rank better in those suburbs and neighboring cities with your organic pages. Because that's how you're going to be able to do that if you only have one location. Perfect.
That was a very thorough answer. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
What do we have next? So Lisa is interested to understand the difference between services, products and activities, when to use them and how they relate to each other.
So I'm assuming you mean services, products, and activities in the Google profile.
Let's take it as that. Yes. Take it as yes.
Yeah. So they're just different sections of your profile where you can add information to help tell customers what your services are. So if you're a home service business, you're going to add your services into that section on the profile. They're nestled under the categories. And the services are kind of the only thing on this list that can impact your rankings for your Google profile. So Google offers two kinds of services you can add. You can add predefined services, which are the services that automatically pop up under each category that you've added to your Google profile. And those can directly impact your rankings for those particular services. And then you can add custom services where, like, if Google's not offering a service you do in the predefined section, you can add your own custom services to tell people that you do that. And they are eligible to show up as attributes. So like if you've ever seen on the profile, when someone searches for your industry or your services and your profile shows up, it can say like provides this. That is eligible to show up from the services section. So you want to make sure that all your services are added there so people can A, know that you do them, and B, they can show up in the SERPs as an attribute. Products are different in that Google wants you to only add like physical products that you sell in your store into that section. So most home services or professional services businesses don't qualify to add products there because they're not actually selling anything. I have seen people do it where they add like a service as a product, or you have like a SaaS company that with a physical location and you're having a software as a service, then they add them into the product section, but that's technically not what Google wants you to do. So that's the distinction there. The products are pretty visible on mobile, especially. So like a lot of people like to add those to have more visibility of like what they're selling. And then the activities section, I'm assuming this is like category specific. I haven't run into this a lot. Claire, I'm sure you have, because you do work with a lot of businesses that have events and activities. So maybe you can share more on that.
Yeah, I think that, ranking aside, I think all three could be really powerful conversion factors, because if someone is seeing something that resonates with them based on what they've searched for, then they can all work really well. I think products and activities are particularly lovely because you can actually link to your website from those rather than services. So you can drive traffic to your website. Remember to add UTM tags. Activities is you will get that as a functionality if your primary or your secondary category is something that could trigger that. So something like information center, for example, or if you were a activity provider, you would see that. And again, you can populate that. All of these things, not so much services, but definitely products and activities can take a lot of space up in your local knowledge panel. So I think all really worthwhile for slightly different reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Claire said, use the UTMs. Claire has a great guide on that. So you got to make sure to link to that guide.
Claire and her boring UTM tags. Brilliant. Thank you very much. What have we got next? Nikki asks, she would love your opinion on an established business or Google Business Profile for years with reviews, and they've opened a second location in the same parking lot with only one number difference in address.
That's interesting. So assuming it's the same business and they're in the exact same category, doing the exact same services, I would likely not create another Google listing for that second location, because they're likely close enough together that you're going to run into local filtering issues, which means Google will only show one profile at a time anyway. And even if you didn't, like the ranking benefits of having locations so close together in the same categories likely aren't worth it, because it's hard to get two locations in the same city, let alone like the same neighborhood, to rank very well, like in the 3-pack. And on mobile, it's only a 2-pack. So you'll have two spaces to rank, and it's really hard to do that. If they're different industries, totally different categories, then yeah, I would add another profile, but unless that was the case, then no.
Wow. I don't know if you've seen this, Elizabeth. I've seen a big sort of uptick in the business profile like help community with mistaken merges, and Google like merging a load of businesses, even ones that don't have this in terms of so similar. So that is a real flag somewhere, isn't it, for Google to say, actually, that this isn't two separate locations. This is just one location, and you're going to lose one of those locations, and you're not going to get those reviews, won't be transferred over. It will just be lost. That's what I've seen.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of mistaken merges too. And like you said, at different addresses, which is for different businesses, which is crazy. And in this case, this would be like a very easy mistake for Google to make. It's like, oh, this seems like the same address, same business name, probably same website and everything. So they would just merge them. But if that does happen to anyone, and like Claire said, you might see your reviews go missing. You can actually contact support and have them move the reviews over, because they can typically move reviews over even if profiles get merged. So don't lose hope if you lose all your reviews. Just contact support and see if they can help. Which, yeah, I see Claire's face. Contacting support is kind of like an oxymoron at this point, but
Yeah.
it does work if you have persistence and patience.
Yeah. But it's like you say, Nikki just said, thank you for the answer. It's just like, avoid having to do all of those things. It's just better. You might be able to fix it after the fact, but just avoid.
Yeah. Focus on one profile in this case.
Yeah. Brilliant. Let's see the next question. Matt says a client has some services that sometimes rank in London. And at others, the same page only ranks nationally.
Oh.
This means they move from top of page 1 to page 2. I guess he's talking about local organic rather than the map pack.
Yeah. And how do you deal with this? Well, I would definitely take a look at the keywords you're targeting on that page. Make sure you are mentioning London and the suburbs in London that you're actually in. Like if you're trying to rank for all of London, that's probably really hard because it's a huge major metropolitan area. If it's a service page, then I would definitely optimize it for near me terms, because you want Google to understand this is a local page, and to rank you for anything with near me in it. So that could help a lot. And then I would see which keywords you're ranking for nationally. And if you're getting featured snippets for those keywords, maybe try to de-optimize for those so you're not getting those featured snippets anymore. Because if you're getting featured snippets, which are like when you type in a question and Google has that one answer at the top, they bold part of the answer and they link to that website, that's a featured snippet. Those are typically national. And if you don't want those, just try to de-optimize for whatever that question is or whatever answer you're ranking for. That's a tough one, but I would definitely go for near me. That's going to help a lot.
Another thing I'd probably look at is who is ranking instead of you, because if you're looking at some exact match domain, which is either that's the London, if it's London something.com is the domain, then Google still treats these exact, if it's a reasonable brand, then you might find that you won't be able to compete, just because there is still that unfortunate rankings boost for exact match when they do a reasonable job. So I think sort of fight the battles that you can and just do the best that you can on the ones where sadly the algorithm is weighted against you because of the way that spammy tactics still work, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Let's have a look and see what we've got next. Dan asks, how would you suggest optimizing Google business profiles for a dental practice and for the dentist's personal one?
Great question. I run into this all the time. We work with a lot of dentists at Sterling Sky. And typically I focus majority of my effort on the main practice. I find that having a practitioner listing, also known as like the dentist's personal listing, it can be conflicting when it comes to rankings. And sometimes you will run into that local filter issue I mentioned earlier, where Google actually won't show one or the other profile, or they'll only show one of the profiles, and sometimes it's the wrong profile. So to kind of mitigate that, I would optimize the dentist's personal profile for a very specific service that they want to offer more of, they want to do more of, whether that be emergency dental, pediatric kids dentists, implant dentistry. cosmetic. There's a ton of different categories in the dental space for GBP, and I would double down on optimizing the dentist personal listing for one of those, linking to that specific service page on the website, and then minimizing any local filtering for the other services, and most importantly, that dentist category, because that's like really the most important one, which the main practice should be optimized for.
Fantastic. Thank you. What do we have next? What radius between same brand business locations is considered far enough to not create a filtering issue?
That's a tough one because it really depends. And I hate saying that, but it depends where you're located. Like if you're in a major metropolitan area, I've seen cases where like business, like the same brand has two locations on opposite sides of the city, and they work well together because like it's hard to rank even within like 2 miles in like this city. But I've seen other brands that can dominate a whole city and some suburbs with one listing, because there's not as much competition in the area. So I would say like it really depends, but you're going to want to use local grid rank tracking to test how far away your actual listing is ranking to determine that radius. So I typically check like 5 miles up to 10 miles in very non-competitive, low population areas, to see like how far away the green, if your listing is ranking well in the top 3, it's going to be green pins, how far away that starts to wane to yellow and red. And then you will see like that delineation of like, okay, we can't rank there anymore. This is probably where we could maybe get a second business location if you do service people in that area.
That is super. Thank you. And that ties in brilliantly with some of the stuff that I think lots of people will be speaking about how to plan out where to have your next location when you're trying to rank in a new area. Then everything that you've described is something that you'll need to do beforehand. Thank you very much.
If so, you're talking about the local filter. Sorry, Claire. I think I may have misunderstood the question. I read it.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're talking about the local filter that actually will filter out your business, that radius is like 200 feet. So it's in the same building that like you're actually going to experience. The local filter will filter out your business if there's another business in the same category as you. Yeah, I think that's maybe
what did you say to how many, was it foot? Did you say something?
200. 200.
200.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah.
And,
so
and that doesn't work up though, given height.
No.
It needs to be, okay. It can't be like I'm on the 60th floor, it's 200 foot away. It has to be.
Yeah. Like realtors run into this a lot when they all have their listings verified at the brokerage. It doesn't matter what
lawyers
number. Yeah. It doesn't matter what floor you're on. You're going to run into a local filter. Yeah.
Cool. All right. That's brilliant. Thank you. Yeah. What have we got next? What if you have multiple, well, there we are, multiple businesses out of the same office? We have a security company and a lock and a safe division, and they are both listed, a security company and a lock and safe division.
Yeah.
Listed under different names.
So if they're different names and you have different categories, you're likely okay. I don't know the category for security company as well as I do for like a locksmith. But if it's different brand names, you're legally registered. That's really important. You want to be legally registered as 2 separate business entities at the same address. And especially in the locksmith space, you're going to want to have proof on hand at all times that these are 2 separate legally registered businesses, because Google can ask really at any time you to prove yourself, either in the form of a suspension or asking for a re-verification, because it's a typically spammy industry. And if you have 2 businesses at the same address, they might require that you like do a double verification or something. And then 2, we were talking about merges earlier. definitely always be on the lookout for that, because even we've seen issues with like businesses with different names getting merged. Like if you're linking to the same website, Google might get confused and merge the businesses if they're at the same office. So you want to take precautions like linking to different pages on your website or if you can link to completely different websites to ensure Google understands these are two separate businesses.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Emma asks, how do you feel about address versus no address in ranking in the local pack? Do you think it's more difficult to rank if you don't have an address and you are an only, or you are a pure service area business?
Yeah. So I feel very strongly that Google should abide by their own rules or their own preachings that like if you hide your address, you should rank the same as if an address is showing. But we've tested it at Sterling Sky, and there's actually an article on our website about this. And it's just not the case. We find that once you hide your address, you're actually going to lose rankings for the keywords or for keywords that you're tracking. So unfortunately, it is better to have an address showing, but the guidelines are very clear about what kind of businesses can and cannot have their addresses showing. So it's not really something you can just add your address back if you are a service area business. But hopefully everyone else in your industry will also be a service area business. You won't be at a ranking disadvantage by hiding your address. But whenever possible, I encourage businesses to show their address because it has shown to be a ranking boost.
Yeah. I mean, paying for that office somewhere and being able to make face-to-face contact, even in sort of restricted hours, is, you know, probably from a ranking perspective. What do we have next? I know for the local pack or the finder that Google Business Profile is very important. But if I have a very high number of reviews, update our profile consistently, why are there still other businesses that are ranking higher than me? Which is a good question and something that we all feel your pain on.
I wonder that every day. That's something I definitely am still learning about every day. Like, why are some businesses doing better than others? Like, I've even seen cases where a business doesn't have a website and is still ranking really well compared to like competitors that I know are putting in time and money into SEO. So sometimes it just depends on like the authority of that profile. Like if it's been around for a really long time, like, yeah, they may not engage with it all the time, but if they get consistent reviews onto it, Google is going to want to rank that higher because people are interacting with that business. A lot of the interactions people make with a business profile, we can't see. Like if we don't have access to the insights for that profile. So if people are calling it a lot, people are clicking through to the website, clicking directions, that's going to help that profile do better as well. And then of course, if their website is well optimized and they're ranking organically really well for their core keywords, then yeah, they're going to do better than a majority of the competition likely. So I would recommend that you work on your website and help that rank better organically, work on your content to provide value to the people in your local community, and then work on your engagement on the profile as well. Like you update it consistently, but it's not about you adding things to the profile. It's about how people interact with your profile. Like, are they clicking on your posts? Are they clicking on your website link? Are they calling you? Because if they're not interacting with it, then Google doesn't necessarily care if you keep adding stuff to it.
For sure. And it can be so frustrating, you know, if you are monitoring rankings and looking just at rankings, but sometimes you can't change things. And I think just thinking, well, how can I convert more of the users that I do get via the rankings that I have should be the things that you should focus on, which is, you know, is it easy for people to do the things that they need to do when they get to my website or in my Google Business Profile? And then, you know, focus on that in the interim as you sort of secure authority and try and improve, you know, the rankings, however you are measuring those rankings. Okay, what else do we have here? Kenny asks, how can I rank higher for services that I offer but are not mentioned as frequently by customer reviews?
Okay. So customers mentioning the services in the reviews shouldn't and doesn't impact rankings. So that's not necessarily a factor. To rank higher for your services, make sure your GBP is set to the right category for those services. Like the primary category that you have is one of the top ranking factors. It influences rankings more than any of the secondary categories, but you're allowed to have like 9 more secondary categories. So I would make sure if you have enough that are relevant to your services, all of those are added. Check in each one of those categories if there's any predefined services. Like I mentioned earlier, these predefined services do impact rankings for like specific services that you offer. And then you're going to want to make sure your website is really well optimized for all your services that you're offering. And then on your website, having customer testimonials, customer reviews about those specific services, that's what's really going to help improve organic rankings for those types of services. So I wouldn't worry about them mentioning them in the GBP reviews, but if you can go out and ask your customers if they'd be willing to do a testimonial about a specific service you did and add that to that service page. And that's a really great way to not only try to rank better, but like win customers over by giving them that real world experience that everyone's looking for online. Like people don't necessarily trust businesses these days. So they're looking for other real people experiences. And that's a great way to get it on your website. That's going to help you rank, and it's also going to help hopefully convert people.
One thought I just had on top of all of those amazing points is look at your internal linking. So you probably have service pages for those services that you offer. So if they're hidden away somewhere and Google can't find them and people can't find them actually on your site, just make sure that your location page is either, mentioning those services or that it's the location page is clearly linking to those services pages, because then you make it very obvious to Google and also to people that these pages about my services are important and they're relevant for my searchers. So maybe just check your internal linking as well.
Yeah, absolute pro tip right there.
I learnt it from you, Elizabeth. What do we have next? John asks, what are your thoughts on custom services for categories which don't have suggested services? Have you seen them work?
So work in the sense that you can add them and they do provide like some more context to your profile? Absolutely. In terms of rankings, we haven't seen any definitive like answers from testing that it does impact ranking. So I'm going to say like they don't, but doesn't mean you shouldn't add them. Like, because there's 2 ways people can view the services on your profile. They can show up in the attributes in the SERP when people are just searching, which can be a great way to get people to click on you. And they can also show up when like people are looking at your knowledge panel and they want to see the services you offer. There's a button that says services. So you want to make sure people can see everything you offer. So I would 100% add them, even if they don't influence rankings.
Yeah, definitely. And also, how can we there's a thing is that we don't actually know how they work. So if they appear as a justification, or if someone actually looks at them and then decides to make an action on your profile or goes through to your website, you won't know whether they've worked, but they have. So if it's relevant and if you can provide compelling content, then just go ahead and add them.
Yep, absolutely.
Fantastic. What do we have next? So many good questions.
I know.
I'm looking through the questions. There's so many. They're brilliant. Really, really good questions. Melanie, Elizabeth is your woman for this. She's going to tell you what to do. We know a competitor who is offering customers discounts.
Ooh.
Oh, shocking, in exchange for good reviews. What should businesses do when they're being out-reviewed in this way?
So the first thing I would do, if you can, I would reach out to that business and tell them that's against Google guidelines. Like a lot of the times, I'll say a lot, but some of the times businesses don't know that it's against guidelines.
You're so nice, Elizabeth. You're so nice. You're seeing
I
the
wonder
good
what
in
the
everyone.
percentage is of those who know and are doing it and those who don't. Like 0. So they might not know. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt and just mention like, hey, that you're not supposed to do that. You may or may not get a response back, but if they keep doing it, then you can report them directly to Google. There's a redressal form for that. You can reach out to support for that as well. And if none of that works, you could go over to the community forum for GBP and see if a product expert will help escalate it for you. Google can take action on their end if there's clear evidence of this happening, meaning like you have a screenshot of them promoting it on social media. It's like on a card in their physical location, like a card at the desk or something. You're going to need evidence that they're doing it for Google to do anything about it. And then Google might. Emphasis on might, but that's the best way.
Is there's no specific form for that? It's just a question of contacting support, or is there, you just got to do it?
Yeah, I don't think there's a specific form for this case. There is the redressal form. So the GBP redressal form is you can tell Google about people who are spamming Google Maps in any way, and this kind of counts for that. So it goes directly to a team that deals with map spam, I'm assuming, and then they can take action on that there. If that doesn't work, you're going to get a case ID every time you report on the redressal form. So if that doesn't work after a few times, I would contact support with that case ID, the number of case IDs, and just say, hey, I've reported this business. Here's the evidence they're doing this. See if that works. But in the meantime, you're just going to want to get real reviews from real customers. Don't resort to the same tactics to get reviews, because in the long run, it's just going to bite you in the butt. And just continue to get consistent real reviews, because that's the best way to like build authority on your profile.
Excellent. Brilliant. Thank you very much. I hope you can get that sorted, Melanie. Steve asks, does it really make sense to use near me in content in the Google business profile? And does it make sense to include near me in content on my website pages?
Yes. So on the Google business profile, no, I wouldn't optimize and add near me into like the description or your business name or anything. That's not going to help. But I would optimize the content on your website for near me terms. So this can include things like near you, local, nearby, close to, anything that's relevant to like near, because yes, that does work. It just does. So like if you want to show up for near me searches, you're going to want to optimize your website for it.
Yeah. I get you, Steve, because it just seems like when you're a marketer, it's like, this doesn't make sense. Andrew Shotland, on a previous webinar, we sort of talked at length about this, and he went through the actual reasons that you might do it and sort of took you through the SERP of what you find, which made me convinced that it still was, a tactic that didn't make sense, but it was one that actually could get your page to perform better.
Yeah.
So it might be worth checking that out, Steve.
Don't be keyword stuffy with it though. Don't add near me into every sentence. Like you want to make it sound natural, and you do want to provide like helpful content to the people that are visiting your website, but you're going to want to include like those specific phrases to make sure that Google understands you want to show up for near me searches, because that's like the top search in local SEO.
There's still massive volume on that. People still use it. It's still a modifier. So while it's still a modifier, we're showing Google that we're relevant. So
exactly.
Okay. Yep. What do we have next? Chris asks, we work with several franchises. They are questioning the benefit of having a local site over a corporate site. How do we sell them on the idea of local search? So, Chris, I'm not sure whether or not that you're trying to tell them that it's better to have their own domain, or whether it's best to have like a folder on a national domain.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can answer both.
Why not?
Yeah. So I would 100% just show them the sites that are showing up for local searches that are relevant to these specific locations. Like, I bet you that they're going to be maybe not different. They're going to be like specific local domains, but even for like national brands, they're going to have at least location pages. And I would say that's the way to go for you, not knowing anything else about the situation or the business. Having location specific pages for each of these locations on a corporate site is going to benefit you tremendously if you have like multiple locations. Just if that's the case, if you're talking about having separate like local specific domains, I would kind of lean towards not doing that, because you have to maintain so many different domains, which can be a real hassle. And especially if they're fresh domains that you're going to have to build up authority for, it's really not going to work in the short term. It's going to be hard to maintain in the long term. So I don't see a benefit to that over just adding more local pages to your corporate website.
Perfect answer. And the thing is, it can seem like, sometimes the CMS that you have access to is quite limited on a franchise level. So if you don't get to optimize the title tags of your pages, now that can be super frustrating. But if you are able to better optimize, those sub pages that live, on that corporate website, then go for it, because otherwise you won't get the benefit of any of like the PR activities, all of the marketing activities that normally take part at what's it called, the franchisor, or is that the big at that level. So yeah, perfect answer. Thank you, Elizabeth. What do we have next? Can Google tell if the reviews that you add on your website are actual reviews from Google via review plugin, just adding them manually? And does that affect ranking?
So, yeah, I don't think it matters either way if you add it manually or via a plugin. You're just going to want to make sure, however the plugin adds it, that Google can crawl the text of the review. That it's not hidden behind any sort of JavaScript, or I'm not too technical, but like you just want to make sure Google can crawl it, which is the most important part, which I'm assuming most review plugins are going to do that anyway, because that's one of the major benefits of having reviews on there is Google reads them. It's unique content on the site. So just double check that, and then you're fine to add them via a plugin.
Yeah. I think there's loads. So Google has no sort of native plugin. And so you'll end up.
No, yeah. I was actually researching that recently because I was like, Google has to have some sort of like solution for this, but no, they don't.
Yeah, cool. All right. And John says, you mentioned linking Google Business Profile to another page could possibly help if the page focuses on city-related phrases. Can Google penalize you if they feel it's not justified? Thanks.
I'm not sure what you mean by justified, but I don't see Google penalizing you for any reason just for linking you to a more localized page. Like, I feel like that's a better user experience. Like, as long as the page is indexed and ranks organically, I don't see any reason Google would have an issue with it, let alone penalize you. Like, I don't know what you mean by penalize as well, but there's really no issues with linking to a city-related or city-focused page.
Yeah, it's your location landing page. I think if you're linking to a page which, has no relevance to that Google business listing, it doesn't include the address, the phone number, or anything else, then you're going to come up against problems, I would imagine, because those are the things, if we get a suspension, those are the things that we're going to be looking at in terms of, this is how you prove that this is a real Google business listing. So linking to something random doesn't make sense, and you could be penalized if you actually end up with an action against you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But Google shouldn't take action against you just for linking to like a random page. It's just when you have to prove yourself, Claire's 100% right. They're going to be like, what is this?
Because of something else. Yeah. Because
exactly.
it would just be one of the things that counts against you potentially.
Yeah.
So many questions. Right. Oh my gosh. We've only got 15 minutes left and there are a gazillion questions. So keep them coming in. They are amazing. Jennifer asks, how do you deal with bad Google reviews for doctors and deal with what does this mean, Elizabeth? HIPAA. What does that mean for people that aren't in the, is that a US thing?
Yeah. I think it's a US thing. It's essentially laws that doctors have to provide, have to go by in terms of like patient confidentiality, and like they can't release medical information or anything. So first, dealing with bad reviews for Google reviews for doctors, if you can, if you think there's a reason it may be like against Google policy, and there's a bunch of different policy violation categories that you can look at, then you can report it to Google. They have a tool you can use to report reviews, check on the status of them, and then appeal a decision if you think it was the wrong decision. So definitely use that if you think the review violates guidelines at all. And then dealing with HIPAA laws, this is a really tricky situation. And this is where I always lean on the guidance of the doctors and the healthcare professionals themselves to understand what they're comfortable with in terms of like asking customers for reviews and adding those reviews to the website. Because like a lot of the times, like they're going to shy away from adding reviews to the website in fear of HIPAA violations, or like even asking customers for reviews, because that can be seen as a HIPAA violation in some industries. So I would lean on the doctor's advice in terms of like going in line with HIPAA, and just making sure that all customers who leave reviews understand that like it's their choice to leave the review, and they shouldn't mention anything specific medical wise in those reviews.
Perfect. Thank you very much. What do we have next? Which KPIs do you use most to analyze your GBP efforts?
So definitely when I'm talking to the clients, if I'm reporting anything to my clients, I want to understand how my efforts are impacting their bottom line in terms of more leads they're getting, and then how those leads are translating to actual booked customers and revenue. So like really, I see like the SEO's job is to get the phones ringing, get the contact forms flowing in, get those online schedulers booking appointments more. And then it's on the clients and the business to actually sell the customers and like convert the leads. So I like to report on things like first time phone calls, new contact form submissions. I love when home service businesses and like medical offices, they have an online scheduler, because like personally, I love doing everything online. Like if I don't have to call you or like email you and I can just book it through a booking tool, I will do that. And you can actually set up booking tools through GBP now. Like a lot of them, like Service Titan recently, has like an integration that connects directly to the GBP, which is fantastic. So anything like that where the customer is actually getting in contact with the business, and I can verify it through our SEO efforts, meaning like it came from organic search, it came directly from the GBP itself, I will like report on those. And then when I'm looking to like improve like our SEO strategy, I'm like, okay, where can we potentially put more efforts towards in terms of trying to get more leads? Then I'll look to things like traffic and rankings to see where there's more opportunity. Like say I'm not ranking very well in a certain area, I can look to see like, can I rank better for these keywords in that area? If I'm ranking better in that area, am I getting more traffic from the local area? And then is that traffic converting into first-time phone calls or bookings? So those three things I look at, but really the KPIs are leads.
Perfect. Perfect answer. Thank you. What do we have next? Melanie, I'd love to know your views on backlinks for local businesses. We've done a citation campaign, but we'd love to get high authority backlinks. How realistic is this for local home services businesses?
Yeah, backlinks are definitely a hot button topic. I think backlinks are important, especially because when people are searching online, they're not always going to see your Google profile or your website. Especially your website these days can be buried behind like a ton of ads, the local pack, other review and citation sites. So beyond just like improving like your rankings for your website or having any real website SEO value, citations are so important because you want to make sure your business is shown, the correct information is showing, and it's being represented the way you want it represented on any website that a customer may find you on, whether that be a review site, a citation site, social media. All of those are important. When it comes to website SEO, I do think high authority backlinks are very important. Not only do they help Google find your website and find your most important content from other sources online, which gives it that credibility, but they can help improve rankings too. Like we have seen that link building does still work, but for a local home service business, you're going to want to really focus on building local links, like links from other businesses in the community, links from local publications that maybe will do a business story on your business. Really like quality links in the fact that they're local, they're real, and most importantly, you're not just doing link building for the sake of link building. Like you want to make sure you're doing it in a broader business sense of like getting your business out there in the community as well.
Perfect. Jenny just linked to Greg Gifford's free link building course in the Academy, which is like Greg really lays it down. Like you need local links. This is how to make the most of all of your existing relationships. It's got all these different tactics, so definitely tap into that because there'll be loads of ideas in there for you, Melanie. I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
what time? Tips. All right, it's 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Let's go. How many more can we do?
Let's power through.
How often should you be posting on your Google profile? And should you be adding pictures regularly?
Yeah, so posting on your Google profile, I recommend doing it whenever you have a new offer or a new something you want customers to like be engaged with. We find that offer posts are really the best type of posts in terms of engagement and people actually clicking on them. So I would only do them as often as you have a new offer. Like you don't need to be doing posts all the time. It's not like social media where you're posting to try and get engagement from people like, oh, this is a new blog article I wrote, or oh, this is a really interesting story in the local community. Like that's not necessarily what Google posts are for local businesses at least. So when you have an offer or something like that, post it, keep that up there for a while so people can actually like see it and engage with it over a long period of time. And then adding pictures, I would add pictures whenever you have new ones. You want to make sure you have pictures of like your employees, like the people your customers are going to be interacting with. That's a great use of that area on the GBP. Having photos of your business itself is important, but you don't need to be adding them regularly. What I would recommend though is having your customers that are leaving reviews add photos. Like photos with reviews are one of the best things to add to the profile, and it's going to go into your photo section as well. So instead of you adding photos, see if your customers will add them for you.
Fantastic. I love that. What else do we have? Now, I read this one and I wasn't quite sure what it meant. If my clients work from, not for, as self-employed, multiple private hospitals, do you mean clients? Sorry, I'll read it. If my clients work from, not for, as self-employed, multiple private hospitals, should they have a GBP for each one they work from? They're in different towns. Oh, I see. Clients as in your clients, like the practitioners.
Yeah. So it sounds like you have a practitioner, you have practitioner clients. They don't work for the hospital, but they do have hospital privileges. Like they're working and seeing patients at the hospitals. So they're only eligible for 1 GBP as a solo practitioner. So you're not going to be able to have multiple GBPs at each hospital or facility they work out of. You're going to need to register, or you're going to need to verify the profile to wherever they're registered address-wise as a practitioner. So I'm not 100% sure how that works, if it's like their home address, or if it's a specific facility that their main base facility, but you're going to want to register or verify the GBP to there, and then likely hide the address, become a service area business as a solo practitioner. And then like you can mention in the business description, the hospitals or facilities they work out of.
Perfect. Thank you. What did we got next? Greg asks, how can you optimize for different offerings within the same business? This is a laundromat that is mostly self-service, but also offer wash, dry fold, and also pickup and delivery with service areas. That sounds great. We love the idea of this business. Yes, please.
Yeah, please come take my laundry, do it for me. Right? That is the best business model anyone can have. So when you have multiple services, you're going to want to make sure to highlight them on the GBP itself, add into the service section. You can add into the product section too. Like if you offer specific products, services as products, not technically allowed, but like maybe okay in this case. And then make sure it's mentioned on your website. Like you want to make sure you have a page for wash, dry, fold. If you do pickup and delivery, there might be an attribute in the GBP you can check off. Like, I don't know, it's definitely category specific there, but it might be like offers pickup, offers delivery. You want to check that off. So make sure it's showing up as a justification in the search results. And yeah, add it into your description too. You can do posts about it. I was just saying, just do offer posts. Don't do anything else. But no, you could do like a post like, we offer wash, dry, fold. Let us do your laundry for you. And then maybe add like a get 15% off or whatever offer into that to get people engaged with these services you're offering beyond just the self-serve that you're known for.
One thing I can think of, and I don't know your industry massively, Greg, I'm wondering if there is any seasonality around your offerings, or if there's anything to do with, could be times of the year or something where the balance of people that want laundromat is higher than people that want the other service. Because what you can do is change your primary categories around according to which one is the most searched for, is the most important to your business. So you could do a little bit of a test there to see if you get more leads when your primary category is laundromat based, or do you get more leads when you're, anyway, you can play around with the primary category.
Great tip. Play around with your categories, primary, see what
carefully. Don't change anything else. Don't change anything else in your business listing at the same time. Just one thing. I reckon we've got time for two more. Let's have a little look. Cliff, what are your thoughts on Bing?
Yeah. So I like Bing. I don't use Bing. I'll be real with you. Some people do. If you have a Microsoft computer, it's automatically on there. I know people that use it. Their market share in terms of like search is climbing, but will it ever reach the peaks of Google? Probably not. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't claim and optimize your Bing listing like you would your Google listing. You can even connect your Google listing to your Bing listing, and then any changes you make to your Google listing will be automatically put on Bing. So it's kind of like a set and forget situation. So I would recommend doing that, but we don't put too much effort behind Bing for many clients at Sterling Sky because we find the search volumes with Google.
Perfect. I think we have got time for just one more.
I wish we could do these forever.
I know. We could do like a sponsored 24-hour ask-a-thon. I would love that. Okay. This is lovely.
Thanks, Andrew.
Oh, Andrew, just a simple, and this is so good because this was what I was going to segue as my final parting gift, was just a simple thank you for sharing your knowledge. I just became a Google product expert and I would like to learn more about being a great PE and how I can get involved more.
Yeah, that's a great question. And we love that you're involved with the product expert program. The best way to learn more is just be on the forums and reading what the other product experts are posting. Like I've learned so much from other product experts. And then reaching out on Twitter. like we're all on Twitter in the local SEO community, and people are very friendly, I find. So if you do have specific questions, and make sure they are like specific and like you're just really trying to get information to help someone on the forum or something, and then reach out on Twitter and see if anyone's willing to like chat with you a little bit. I know Google does offer like a mentorship program as well. I don't know how that works necessarily, but definitely keep your eyes on the forum to see if you can maybe get involved with that. I think it might be like silver level and above, but the best way to just keep going is to just keep posting, keep reading, keep learning. And then once you get to bronze or silver level, that's when like you can get a little bit more involved too with the community and like connect more with the other product experts, because they're a wealth of information and very willing to help share that information.
Brilliant. Thank you, Andrew. One last thing about that. If you do go into the product expert community and you find an answer from Elizabeth, you can click through to her profile and you can read all of the answers that she's given over a long period of time. That is a great way. May I recommend going to do that, because you can learn so much from Elizabeth. Go to Elizabeth's profile because you'll learn lots of things. So sadly, we are out of time for questions. So I want to say a huge thank you to Elizabeth for today, because that was amazing. And we love the fact that you gave your time to answer all of those questions.
Oh my God, anytime. Like I absolutely love answering questions, and like I hope I gave good answers. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And thanks for asking such great questions. Like some of these like were really, really on the mark. So thank you guys.
They were fantastic. So make sure that you follow Elizabeth on Twitter or X or LinkedIn, because she's always sharing gems. Plus, she's a lovely, lovely person, and we can learn so much from her. So we need to say thank you to Elizabeth, and thank you to everyone that has been here today. It's been such a pleasure reading and seeing all of your comments and all of your questions. Thank you so much for being so interactive and so engaged. It sort of fills my heart with joy. So for everyone out there, if you want to get your year off to a great start by leveling up your local SEO skills, you can enroll in the Bright Local Academy. And we've got courses on business listings, competitor analysis, service pages, location pages, like content for local SEO, and much, much more. And then if you want to stay up to date with all of the latest news and find out when the next Bright Local webinar will be, then make sure you sign up for the newsletter, which you can find here. So I want to say thank you and goodbye.
Thanks, guys.